Welcome back to Hockey Unplugged. I'm Carson and I'm here with Jack Shia. And it's been a while.
It has. I think it's been like 4 months since we've last recorded.
We were busy with school and a few other things, so we're happy to be back.
Yeah, it's summer now, so we're like a lot more free with some podcast stuff. So hopefully we'll get like a few episodes out this summer for sure.
Yeah, that'd be good. We're just gonna kind of talk about a few of the recent things that we've missed here. I'm gonna start off with a little bit about the Canucks playoff run, and then I think we're gonna move into some draft and free agency stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think I think the last episode we did was like trade deadline, so there's for sure a lot that's gone on. But yeah, we'll talk about the Canucks little run they had there, and then we'll talk about free agency and draft, especially like around the Flames, because that was a pretty big, probably the biggest part of our season, honestly. And then maybe if we have time too, we'll look at the Cup final. Just like, I think you guys know that we love the Oilers, so like we might look into that a bit.
All right. We'll start off with the Canucks playoff run here. So obviously as a Canucks fan, it was really exciting to see an actual home playoff game for the first time in however many years. I don't even remember off the top of my head, but
I honestly think it might have been like 2015, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm trying to think after, because they made the playoffs in 2020, right? But that was like
that was not a home game.
Yeah, that was like the COVID bubble. It was like hosted in Montreal, or I don't remember where it was. Or I think it was Edmonton, actually. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's like no fans, obviously.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It was a pretty exciting run. I watched all the games. I was following really closely.
Yeah.
I think, like, even I was at Jack's house for game one, I think.
Yeah, we were. You and Chase came over and we watched that game.
Yeah, so it felt like not real with the intro and everything.
Yeah. I kind of just like understand the hype. Like, I remember like when the Flames were like in the playoffs, like it's just so surreal that it's like finally here.
Yeah.
Because you knew for like months in advance too that you're gonna be in the playoffs. So when it actually is like starting, you're like, holy crap, like this is exciting.
Yeah, and I remember I think we went down like 2-0.
Yeah, I think you guys were down. I don't remember like the score, but I do remember you guys were down.
And then
I remember I was playing devil's advocate too, because I had Nashville winning that series.
Yeah.
You remember that? So I was like,
you did.
I was like, fine. I'm like, all right, like I just like playing devil advocate to you and Chase, because you're obviously cheering for the Canucks. I'm like, all right, like let's see if maybe Nashville could get this win. And then because Chase was cheering for the Jets.
Yeah.
So I like the Jets too, actually. We're not going to get into that, but I like the Jets, but I had Colorado winning and they actually did win. So it's kind of funny just to like get on your guys' nerves a bit, thinking that way.
Yeah, I was not happy. I remember me and Chase were both kind of pissed.
Yeah, you guys were. You're like, no way.
And you were like excited, but you were just kind of,
no, yeah, I was just like,
take it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I think we left and went out to get food or something, and we came back and the Canucks I think they had tied it up.
I think Lindholm scored or something.
Lindy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Lindholm was a really good signing just for the playoffs specifically. It's unfortunate that we couldn't re-sign him, but he wanted too much, I think.
Yeah. We had an episode about that when that trade happened, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so like looking back at it now, obviously like Flames probably do win the trade, but Lindholm for sure was like a pretty solid, like maybe the regular season he somewhat struggled, but like come playoff time, he was a really, really nice addition actually.
Yeah, he was one of our best playoff performers, I think. So
because he scored that one overtime goal in that crazy game where I think I was at your house for that too.
Yeah,
I think I was there for the end, because I remember I think the Canucks were down or something, like 2 goals. It was like 21 maybe, and then like
minute 20 or whatever, Besser 2 goals. That was crazy. It was
I know
so unfortunate to see Besser with his injury at the end of the round 2.
Wait, what happened again?
He had blood clot.
Oh, right.
So it wasn't even like a game injury. It was just like something that he couldn't have really done anything about. It just was, he was playing through the series with it, and he just couldn't finish off the series. So I
Yeah.
think the Canucks would have had a lot better of a run without all the injuries. So Demko obviously injured
Yeah.
like right off the bat.
Mhm.
We got to see, was it 1 or 2 games?
I think he honestly was out like game 2 or something
I
like
think
that.
it might, because he made that crazy save on
Yeah.
Beauvillier.
Yeah, that was game 1, I remember. That
Yeah.
was like literally like the first shot of the game too, or
Yeah.
something. Like it was,
I don't know. I would like to see how it would have played out had we had Demko and
mhm. Me too.
Messer at the end of the series. Like Shelov's was actually really good.
He was.
I was really happy
He
with.
held his own. Like,
Yeah, especially like he had his first NHL shutout in the playoff, or did he have one before that? I can't remember, but it was his first playoff shutout
yeah,
at least. And as a rookie, first time in the playoffs, that's like,
yeah, that's really good. Like that's impressive.
yeah,
Like, do you think he could potentially be like a starter one day for the Canucks?
yeah. I can. He's still really young, obviously, and
Hmm.
Demko. I don't like want to think about it, but I've seen lots of
Yeah,
people saying he's just becoming injury prone, and like
a little bit.
there may not be like a ton of him left.
Yeah,
As
honestly, like, yeah,
I don't know, like he's really good when he's not injured, but he was injured so much this season.
and wasn't he injured last year for like
Yeah,
a portion of it too? I remember.
yeah, he's injured a lot, so I hope he can take some time in the off season
Yeah,
and come back healthy and ready to play like for at least the majority of the season. I
yeah,
think Shelovs will be a good backup.
yeah, for sure. I think like just having, because I think the Smith is gone, right?
Yeah,
Where did he sign again? I don't remember.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I guess now you're probably looking at a Demko Shelovs tandem.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a pretty good spot too for Shelovs to sort of like get into the NHL because he obviously has like the star Demko as like the 1A, and then he can just kind of be like the wingman to him and just like maybe eventually once Demko is like done or is traded, he'll be like ready to fully take on the role of the starter.
yeah, exactly. And if he plays like he was playing in the playoffs, then I'm not worried at all. He was
Mhm.
like insane for the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people wanted, like in Calgary with Wolf, is because obviously like Markstrom has just been traded, right? So
Yeah,
people like before he was traded, like it was kind of split, right? Like some people wanted him traded, some people wanted to keep him for the sake of like having Wolf in his like sort of like this sidekick, right?
yeah,
And just like teach him like how to be an NHL goaltender. Obviously, like we're not getting that, and personally, I'm not complaining. I think it's like fine we traded him, but I think like maybe in Vancouver, that's like a nice way for Shelovs to sort of get his foot in the NHL.
yeah. I think I don't know. We'll have to see. He was not bad when he came up a few times in the
Mhm.
regular season, and then obviously, like I've said a couple times now, he was great in the playoffs. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I think we have a good future with like goaltending wise for the Canucks, and
yeah, for sure. Trying to think what else really happened in the run. Like I think we kind of talked about this already, but I feel like the Oilers got so lucky with like the state of the Canucks team.
yeah, I don't think if the Canucks did beat the Oilers, I don't think we were gonna make it past Dallas. But Dallas didn't have a
Yeah.
great series against the Oilers, so you never know.
I just think like the Oilers are just like so lucky. Like I just hate them in general, but it was just
Yeah,
like it was so stupid to see that like already Demko was hurt, then like Besser went out. He was like it wasn't even like hockey related. It was just like, dude, they're playing like an AHL goalie and like an
yeah,
injured team. Like it was just like, of
yeah.
course, like the Oilers get this like beautiful luck.
Yeah, and then obviously our players were worn down a lot. Guys like Quinn Hughes, he was
Yeah.
getting targeted for
Yeah.
like both of the series. Like
Yeah.
everyone was after him. Even like Lindholm, Besser, like the Canucks actually didn't have a super physical series against the Oilers. From the Canucks
Yeah.
side, at least, they kind of stopped playing physical. They had a pretty physical series against the Preds,
Yeah. I do remember it was actually pretty physical.
and then I guess the Oilers series, Zadorov was pretty physical, especially with Kane. That was fun.
I kind of wish I watched more of that series. I didn't watch much of it.
Well, I watched the whole thing, obviously, but
Yeah.
I don't know. it was just not as exciting because I knew like our chances of winning just kept going down with all the
Yeah.
unfortunate events.
Do you remember how this series went? Like, I honestly can't. Like, did the Canucks win game one? I think they did. They did win game
Yeah,
one, I
I think
remember.
they did. Yeah,
And then did Oilers win game two?
I think so. It was.
Was it like back and
I
forth? 'Cause
think
I
it
know
was
that
pretty back and forth. I don't know if it
I do
was.
know though that the Canucks did go up 3-2,
Yeah,
I believe, and then the Oilers forced a game seven and then won game seven.
yeah,
So yeah,
yes.
I remember when they went. I think I do remember though when they went up 3-2. I was like, okay, like this is a really nice chance now. Like obviously it was going back to Edmonton for game six, but I was like pretty confident. But it's the Oilers just took over, man.
Yeah, it was.
Those big boys in Edmonton are tough to stop.
Yeah, we kept leaving Draisaitl open right in the spot where he can score, like right
Yeah,
at such
it's
a
like
weird
one.
angle.
Yeah, it's like on the goal line. It's sort of his
Yeah,
like where he scores a lot.
it was annoying, but you can't
Yeah,
really do much. Like, I feel like you're not really trained to cover guys in that spot.
yeah. It's just sort
So I
of
don't think it's like a high scoring chance spot. Like, I don't know how he like scores from there over and over again. It's
yeah. It's just something like teams' defensive systems will like eventually adapt to. I'm sure like they'll.
yeah,
That's just like kind of how it works. Like those skilled players always have like their spots. Like Ovi obviously had his spot. I mean,
yeah.
no one really ever like.
No one ever adapted to it.
Yeah,
It
but
still works for him. He just stands the
yeah.
whole game.
So maybe Drysdale will just do that forever, but who knows?
Yeah,
Overall, though, I think the Canucks run, considering like this is like probably their first year of like their competitive window. Like it's not like it's like coming to an end. So
yeah,
I think overall it's like pretty positive. Like you won a round, like you hadn't been in the playoffs in like feels like almost 10 years in your city at least.
yeah,
So you won a round and then you went out to the Oilers who are like a juggernaut and were probably like the best team in the league. So honestly, like from a Canucks standpoint, it's a pretty positive run. I think just you hope for next year to just take steps, right? And eventually
yeah,
hopefully win a cup in the next like 3 to 4 years. That's kind of, I think, how it works with like contenders, right? Like you look at,
yeah,
I like Colorado as an example because I think their window really opened in 2018-19 actually is when they beat the Flames in round one in game five. They're like the wild card team, right?
yeah,
But they came in and took us down in five. And then after that, they just continued to progress and they kept losing in the second round, I think 3 years in a row. And then finally in 2022, they broke out and won the cup. So I think that's kind of how it works with contenders. If you have a few years of losing and then eventually you get it done.
As long as we can consistently make the playoffs
Yeah,
for the next
that's the
3 years,
thing.
I won't be worried. But if
Yeah.
we have a terrible season next season and just like miss the playoffs again, and like I would be quite unhappy about that. And,
For
like
sure.
all my hope would be lost. But
That's what it was like with the Flames when they were like somewhat competitive. Like they'd make the playoffs. I'd be like, all right, like we lost. Hopefully next year we're back in and then we just wouldn't make the playoffs.
yeah,
So it was like, it was terrible. But do you want to talk about the finals a little bit?
sure,
Like
yeah,
while we're on so obviously I feel like everyone probably knows this story. Like the Panthers went up 3-0 and then Oilers forced a game seven, of course. But so we obviously know like Bobrovsky was like really good, right?
yeah,
First 3 games. I'm just kind of wondering like what was it that went wrong sort of after that? Like I don't even know why, but I remember just having a feeling like even when they were up three, I was just like kind of like a bit scared.
yeah,
Like I was just like, I feel like this isn't over. Like I feel like Bobrovsky's just like too good right now.
yeah.
I just wonder what it was.
I don't know if anything's come out about it, but I was wondering at the time if he got injured. I haven't heard anything about it, but that was my biggest like theory. That Bobrovsky was injured. I don't know. It was just so weird to see the Panthers start off so well and then just like plummet.
I do think like I don't remember which game it was. It was either game two or game three where the Oilers got like really outplayed and it wasn't looking like great. Or no, not the Oilers. The Panthers got outplayed
Yeah,
and they still like were able to win. So I remember even like after that game, like I don't know what it was. It was just like even though they're up so much and it was like 3-0, like they have to win one game. There was just this like slight like, why do I feel like they could do this? And then they won game five, and I was kind of like, it was a blowout too. It was like five or it was like 8-2 or something.
yeah,
And I remember I was like, okay, at least they're going back to Florida for game 5. Like maybe they'll win it there. And then when they lost there, I was like, okay. Like, at this point, I was getting kind of worried because I'm like, okay, back in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Then game 6, they win. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is the worst thing ever. And the funny thing is obviously you know this story, but I went to the brew house for game 7 with like
Yeah.
two of my buddies. And I don't know why our entire city has embraced like this Oilers propaganda.
I don't know.
I hated it.
Bro, everyone hates the Oilers during like the entire rest of the season, and then it gets to the finals. They're in the finals. All of a sudden, everyone loves the Oilers. Everyone's hopping on the bandwagon. I just can't do that. Like,
no, I can't, bro. Like, it's like, I feel like I've talked to people about this that aren't really hockey fans, and it's like, you just don't understand. Like, they're like, oh, it's Canada's team, but I just can't. Like, there's no explanation. I just can't do it.
Especially when Canucks fans, like I saw Canucks fans on TikTok and like Instagram and stuff talking about how it's still Canada's team. They knocked us out, but I'll cheer for them now.
Like, and it's not even like their players are likable, bro.
No.
Like, think about their like Evander Kane, Corey Perry, like a bunch of these like bums, like Nurse.
Yeah.
We're just like crapping on the Oilers, but it's not even like they have like a fun group of players, like McDavid in his interviews. Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get him next time. Yeah. Yeah.
Draisaitl in his interview, he's always like,
yeah, Draisaitl's just pissed. He's always like pissed. And I'm like, they're just losers. I hope like every Oilers fan sees this clip that your team's losers. But anyway, so I was at the brew house for game 7, right?
Yeah.
I was like actually not that, like, I honestly going there, I wasn't even that nervous. And I was saying like, I was like full Oilers propaganda. Like they literally have like Oilers flags, like workers are wearing like Oilers shirts. Like 90% of the restaurant is Oilers, like people cheering for the Oilers. And it was literally like me, like there's I think 7 of us, a group of 7. And like 3 of us were cheering for the Panthers. And I think maybe one other person in the restaurant was cheering for the Panthers. It was so stupid. So like when the Panthers scored, like I was pretty like even keel actually, like throughout the whole game. Like when they went up the first goal, I don't know what it was. I was like, all right, we're chilling.
Yeah.
And then the Oilers scored like right after, I remember. And the way like the entire bar like blew up, I was like, they can't score again because I don't think I could handle like another goal celebration like this. So I'm happy they only scored 1. And then Reinhart scored again, and I was pretty fired up for that. And then when they actually won, like at the end of the game, it was like the 3 of us like standing up. We were like standing on our chairs, and then like every other Oilers fan was just like looking at us like eye-eyeing so hard. It was so funny, but that was a lot of fun, and it was nice to see like Kachuk and Bennett hold the cup. And
yeah,
I think you saw the Kachuk comment he had.
Yeah, I did.
He's like
hands back in Calgary.
But that was awesome, and he was in Stampede recently too. So I think
I saw that.
I think for about a year there, a lot of Flames fans hated him, but I think maybe the love's coming back a little bit, even though he's like obviously still in Florida. Like I was pretty happy. He didn't
leave in a bad way, like John. He just got traded, so I don't understand why people don't like him.
Yeah, I know. I never disliked him. I know my parents were kind of had like a grudge against him, but after seeing that, I think he's kind of grown on them again a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, but I think that's pretty good. Like playoff wise, I'm just like really happy the Warriors didn't win the playoffs. Like it was just that was been like my worst night. So I'm just like, thank you so much, Florida, for doing that. But anyway, so we can go on to the draft a little bit now. So starting off with the Flames, obviously, I think I've been saying this a lot. Like this was basically like the Flames Cup was the draft, right? Like we didn't make the playoffs, and we had a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
this is the first time we've picked in the top 10 since we picked Kachuk in 2016. So you're probably getting a pretty good player, and this was a pretty nice draft too. I don't want to like fully go into the draft because we don't have a lot of time, but it was like really defenseman heavy. And I was wanting a specific defenseman, Zane Parekh, which we actually did end up picking. But before I go into that, I need to glaze myself a little bit here, okay? So like we obviously knew everybody in this city wanted TJ Ginla, right?
Yeah.
And like I was against that like the whole time. Like I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast, but like I was like so vocal about it. Like I might get hate on this if Flames fans are listening, but I did not like I don't not like Tej. I think he's a good prospect. I just didn't want him on the Flames for a few reasons. The first reason was I don't think he has the highest ceiling, and with where the Flames are in the rebuild, we needed a high ceiling player and he's a winger. We have so many wingers like Coronado, Pelche, like the list goes down. Like there's so many wingers right now in the pipeline. And I just think the thing with him being Jerome's son is so much pressure, and it could go so wrong in so many ways. Like
Yeah.
if we draft him, let's say, first of all, it's just so much pressure to be a first round pick, especially a top 10 pick. Doesn't matter like if your dad played for the team or not. And then like everyone thinks he's gonna be as good as his dad. So now he has this pressure like, oh, I have to be like the best player in franchise history now. And it's like,
Yeah.
like the odds are he probably isn't gonna do that, for being realistic.
Yeah.
And I think if he was good, like that's awesome. But if he wasn't good, like, and imagine there's like players that we passed on that were like way better than him. Like you look back and it's like, now we hate in Iginla. Like it would just be so awkward, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's like better that he went before us, because it's like we don't even have to think about what if we picked him. You know what I mean? It's like he's just gone. Like he can create his own legacy.
There's no pressure in Utah.
No.
Either. There's
just like make your own legacy.
The pressure of being, what was he, the 6th pick?
I think 6, yeah.
Yeah. So there's obviously the pressure that comes with being the 6th overall pick, but other than that, like there's nothing for him to. There's no expectations for him in Utah because of his family's past.
Exactly. Like it's like he can just go make his own legacy, and I think he will be like a really good player. Like as a prospect, like he is a pretty like good prospect. It's just that he just wasn't a good fit for the Flames right now. Like if we were to go out and like trade for him right now, I saw this one mock trade. It was like Rasmus Anderson at 50% retained to Utah for Iginla and a first. Like I would 100% do that. I just didn't want Tish to be like our first pick, you know?
Yeah.
But honestly, like I do hope he has a great career. I'll for sure be following his career. He's Canadian too, so obviously, so we'll be seeing him a lot in the World Juniors. I'm sure he's gonna play the World Juniors this year. But I just wanted to say that like I do not hate Tish. It's just he just wasn't a great fit for what we needed, and I think Zane Parekh, who we did end up picking, I was banging the drum for this guy for the past 4 months. Like literally once we did that Lindholm trade is when I went into full like prospect mode. Yeah. So like I haven't really talked about prospects a lot on this podcast, but Parekh was my number one guy that I wanted the Flames since like February. Like I'm sure if you're a Flames fan, you know a lot about him now, but he's just a super high flying offensive defenseman. Like obviously there's some defensive concerns, but I think there's always defensive concerns when there's a young offensive defenseman. Like any offensive defenseman in any league, like Quinn Hughes still, people still slack on his defensive game every now and then, and Makar too, and both of them are not even bad defensively.
Yeah.
It's just because they're so good offensively that they get that slack. So I mean, correct, yeah, he does have some defensive concerns, but he's just super high flying offense. Like I think he had like 96 points, I think, and like 30 goals as a defenseman. Like it was crazy. Like he won like defenseman of the year in the entire CHL. I honestly think he was like a top 5 talent in the draft, like by far. Like it's just, I think if this guy really hits his ceiling, I could see him being a perennial like 15 to 20 goal, 80 to 90 point defenseman for the Flames.
For sure,
that's how good I actually think he could be.
I know Jack and Chase were both really excited for this guy. They've been watching him for a long time. We were in a hotel room in Edmonton.
Yeah, you can tell the story if you want.
We were watching the draft. We were there for a concert. So there was an hour till we had to be there for the concert or whatever. We were all in the hotel room watching the draft.
Yeah.
And I was just coming in as Tej was selected 6th.
Yeah.
So these guys were already like jumping around the room and like.
Yeah, because we were just like, like I said, like we were just happy that he went before. So it didn't have to be a thing like if we should pick him, right? It was just like, okay, like that pressure's gone.
Yeah. And then we watched the next couple of picks. And then all our parents were in the room as well.
Yeah. They just all like came in there too. It was like, all right, like 10 of us in there.
Yeah. So then the Flames pick comes up and they start to announce like Memorial Cup winning.
Yeah.
And Chase and Jack are like jumping off the bed.
Yeah, like
Chase,
it was
like threw his phone across the room. I had to pick it up off the
Did he really?
Yeah, I handed it to his mom. Like, oh, give this
so
to Chase,
funny.
and he calms down.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, Chase's mom was asking me why I wasn't jumping around too. I had to explain that I'm a Canucks fan.
Yeah. Because I remember, because like Perek was like projected before 9. Like to get him at 9 was honestly a bit of a dream. Like we were hoping it'd happen, but we weren't like really confident it would happen. Honestly, like this would be amazing if he does. But as the draft went on, like so Tej went 6. It was like, okay, I think that's good. Like just get that pressure out of the way. And 7th was Ottawa, I believe, and they took Yakemchuk, which was a huge reach. We're like, okay, that's awesome. So that leaves more room for Perek to fall. So like my heart's like fully beating, right? Like I would felt like I had took like 5 scoops of pre-workout. And then pick 8 was like, it was Seattle, and this is the team I was worried about taking him because like they have so many like forwards in their prospect pool. I'm like, dude, like they're probably taking Perek here, honestly. And then when they took Catton, like I really like Catton as a prospect too. I was like I couldn't believe that he was there. Like I was like, okay. And then like once he was actually available at 9, I was just like, okay. Like I'm praying like Conroy just pick like the high offense because there was like Dickinson, Siliev, like some other really good defensemen, but it was like, come on, like this guy's a right hand shot, like 96 points. And when he did it, it was just like, it was so awesome. Like that was just like, I haven't been that happy like as a Flames fan in so long. Like I wish I was on like a video or something. Like it was just so awesome to pick him. But yeah, I think like Flames fans are like starting to realize too like how good this guy is, and he seems to really like this city too and wants to be here. Like he signed his ELC, so that doesn't mean he's gonna play next year. I don't think he will. I think he's probably going back down to Saginaw, which is fine. But yeah, that was awesome. And some other like notable draft picks. Like the Flames just had a really good draft in general. Like they picked their pick with the Canucks pick was Matvei Gridin, 28th overall. He was a high scoring player in the USHL, I think. And he's going to the QMJHL next year, so it'll be fun to watch. Andrew Basha was our first second round pick. He's from Calgary, plays in Medicine Hat with some other notable prospects, Caden Lindstrom and Gavin McKenna. He had a great season, and he's from Calgary. I think I said that, so it'll be fun to watch in Medicine Hat. He's close to Calgary. And then another big one was Luke Misa. I'm sure you guys have heard about his older brother, or his younger brother, if you're into prospects, he's also on Saginaw. His younger brother, Michael Misa, but Luke Misa, the older brother, we picked him in the 5th round, looking to be a steal. I was watching the development like scrimmage, right?
Yeah.
I think he was by far like the best forward, honestly. It was pretty cool to see. I think he had like a hat trick. So I think just overall, like the Flames had a really, really good draft, and I think we should be really happy with the direction this team's going in.
Yeah, for sure. I think with the Canucks draft, I'm going to be completely honest, I don't even know who we took.
That's honestly fair. Like it's kind of not really relevant to you, I feel like.
No, I feel like our season was
it was playoffs.
Yeah. That was our
big and free agency. Free agency was pretty big for you guys too.
Free agency was pretty good.
We can get into that too if you want. Sure. You can start off with some of the Canucks picks or signings, I mean.
Yeah. So we picked up, I think the big one, or one of the big ones at least, is Jake DeBrusk. I for sure know who he is. I can't say I know a ton about him, like his play style, or I know he's a winger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did really need a top 6 winger. Probably our main need when it comes to free agency.
And I think that's what he'll be though, is like, I think he could easily score like 70 points, like 30 goals, 40 assists on like Pettersson's wing. Like, yeah, like I think that's what he is. Like he'll be like a 60 to 70 point, just really reliable top 6 winger for you guys, which I think is what you need. And he honestly fits the team better than I think Lindholm does long term. Yeah. Just because Lindholm's obviously a center and DeBrusk is a winger, and DeBrusk is also younger. Yeah. And I think cheaper. He is cheaper, and then we have him for a long time too, 7 years. Exactly. Yeah. So he's gonna be there hopefully for all of our for your entire like runs. Yeah, for your entire like competitive window, he'll be there. Yeah. But yeah, and then we got Danton Heinen. I really don't know that much. I was talking to Chase a little bit about him. I didn't even really know who he was when we took him, to be honest. I know who he is, but I don't know like much about him, but I think he'll be a good depth piece for sure. Yeah, Chase was talking about that. He says he's going to be solid for the team for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think
this is the last one I'll talk about for now. Just
Sure,
'cause
yeah.
we're running out of time here. But Sherwood
Yeah.
Kiefer Sherwood, sorry.
Okay.
Um,
Oh yes, he played on Nashville,
yeah,
didn't he?
he was on Nashville.
Yeah.
I really don't know much about him either, but I do know that I hated him in that series. So
So I wanted
that's
to
a good
say about that.
sign.
He's like a really gritty. Like I think you just hate to play against him.
Yeah,
He's one of those guys that if he's on your team, he's just like a gray bottom six grinder.
yeah. I don't know. He was just like everywhere in that
Yeah,
series.
that's what I mean.
Like if the camera panned to a Preds player, it was on Sherwood.
Yeah,
Like
I think you're gonna really like him. Like once he's actually there,
yeah,
he's gonna be
I hope
great for
so.
you guys.
I don't hate him anymore. Obviously, he's on our team
Yeah,
now. Just for that specific series, he was really annoying. So
I think the Canucks like made the right signings. Like they addressed like what they needed properly, and I think it was honestly really good. Like it maybe sucks losing Zadorov, but
yeah,
I think those are just like all really good signings.
yeah. We got Darnay from the Oilers for defense.
Yeah,
Whatever.
kind
No.
of. Okay, but anyways, like we can like talk about Flames real quick. There's not really much to talk about free agency wise. Like the big one, Anthony Mantha, just a 1 year deal. I think. What is the AAV? It's like 3.5 million.
Yeah,
So it's like literally a rental. Like that is like the signing that you sign him and then you sell him at the deadline for a second. So that's probably what's gonna happen with him. And then we signed some defenseman like Jake Bean. He's actually born in Calgary. He's from Columbus. Just a 1 or 2 year deal, actually 1.75 million. I think that's good. We really needed defensemen because our defense core is terrible. But so we signed him, and then what are the other? I think we signed one goaltender, I believe.
oh,
What was his name again? It's not on Cap Friendly right now. I feel it's Devin Cooley. There it is, and it'll just be a good third goalie for us. I think. There's not much like when it comes to free agency for the Flames. Those were like some of the big signings. I think they're gonna be sold. Obviously, like Mantha will be. Maybe not Bean or Cooley, but Mantha will be. And then I think Kuzmenko is another guy that's expiring this year that will probably sell.
yeah. You can send him back to the Canucks. I wouldn't
Honestly,
complain about that.
I would do that.
I would love him back. I don't know. I doubt that'll happen. Just 'cause
Didn't we
of how
talk about that one time?
we did, yeah.
Yeah.
You still
If it worked, like
awful.
sure, but I don't think it will just because of the coach there.
Yeah.
Talk it. I just don't think he likes him. But overall, I think that's like pretty much all we have to say. As you can tell, we're kind of on different spectrums right now. Carson's in full win now mode with the Canucks, and then I'm just in rebuild. The Flames rebuilding, so I'm happy with that too. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll get another episode out soon. Take care, guys.